From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Good morning, everyone. Before we get to the forecast, I want to remind you that there is a free service out there for those of you that are involved with Medicare. PSA 2 High Cap are doing medical open enrollment, and what that means is, the thing is, Medicare drug plans, they change every year. We've got open enrollment right now, and that means that you can take advantage of a free service. So call High Cap today. Premiums may increase, deductibles can go up, plans may leave and close. You can get free confidential Medicare help. It is very confusing navigating through Medicare, and they can help you over there at High Cap. So call the number on your screen, 530-223-0999, or the toll-free number, 1-800-434-0222. Call them today if you have Medicare and need to do that open enrollment program. All right, let's get you to your forecast here. We're going to start off with our weather headlines. The heat has arrived. This is something I mentioned yesterday because it has yesterday, but the heat wave really has kind of peaked yesterday and today. It sticks around through the weekend, but I do expect a cooling trend. But thunderstorms in the mountains are certainly going to be the case here. So we've got a lot to talk about in our deeper dive forecast. But before we get to that, here is a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Friday, August 27th, as we go into the weekend. Yes, the weekend is almost here, folks. One more work day. Temperatures in the mid-60s for Trinity County, mid-50s, and some fog for the coast. And it's starting to warm up here pretty quickly here as we do go through the morning hours. That's why we still have the heat advisory and the extreme heat warning. And most of these are pretty much through at least Saturday, Sunday, before we do start to see those temperatures begin to drop. So you see the clouds over Southern California and working their way northward. That is monsoon moisture, and that is going to have an impact on whether or not we see showers and thunderstorms, and we will eventually. But it's not really until this weekend, which we'll get into here in just a bit. But it's going to be another hot day. That's the bottom line here. Temperatures over 100 degrees in the valley, 90s for the north and east side or north and east of the valley, that is. And temperatures over 100 degrees for Trinity County, inland, mid to upper 60s here for the coast. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley, it's going to be hot through the weekend, but we're just going to see a gradual cooling trend. And eventually by Tuesday, Wednesday, we start to see those temperatures begin to drop for some of you, for most of us in the valley. For the coast, temperatures mid-60s, partly to mostly cloudy skies, maybe some drizzle at times, but not much in the way of measurable rain. Inland, I think you're dry and hot at least through early next week, but then eventually temperatures start to drop with thunderstorms possibly by Wednesday. And for Weaverville, Trinity County General, I have bumped up that chance as early as Monday, but I think your best chances will be Tuesday, Wednesday for those thunderstorms. Meanwhile, we take you to the north and east of the valley, and yeah, there it is for Siskiyou County by Sunday, all the way through Thursday of next week, a chance for thunderstorms for this weekend, all the way through Thursday. That includes Modoc County and the eastern mountains. And in particular this weekend for Modoc County, Lassen, and Plumas counties. Otherwise, anywhere to the west of that should remain dry. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. Let's take a look at what's going on with the fires here, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service, and really no recent activity being detected by the satellites. So that's obviously good news. And the good news, too, here is haven't received any new reports over the last few days for the Big Cliff fire, now at 45% contained as of latest report. And the Orleans complex, no new report there since the 19th of August, a little over 22,000 acres, that is, at 91% containment as of the last report. Now the winds, nothing unusual going on here. It's going to be a little breezy this afternoon. The winds died down for Saturday morning. A little breezier, if you will, for Saturday afternoon. Now the winds you see there in Lassen County, just east of Susanville, those are winds most likely generated by thunderstorms. Yes, now we're starting to introduce thunderstorms in the forecast here, which we'll get into here a little bit later. Sunday, yeah, probably Sunday afternoon, the wind's picking up. So we've got high fire danger due to the fact that, number one, it's very hot. Number two, those numbers on the screen are humidity levels. Yeah, you're down to the single digits. Even for central Siskiyou County, you've got some high fire danger there. And you can see by midday Sunday already in that moderate range, most likely high fire weather risk going into your Sunday as well. Now, this is something I don't show a whole lot, but we really are illustrating the potential for thunderstorms. The areas in red for Saturday, Sunday, you can see now it's kind of north of the valley. I don't think, though, we're going to see thunderstorms in Trinity County, but Siskiyou County, sure. Then on Monday, same situation, but as I mentioned, I think we're going to hold off mainly Monday into Tuesday, possibly for Trinity County. But you get the idea. The radar is certainly set and looking at, when I say radar, we're just kind of watching for that potential for dry lightning strikes as early as this weekend and continuing through a good portion of next week. All right, that's a look at Krueger's Quickcast and the latest on what's going on with the fires and the fire weather data. Let's get you to your deeper dive forecast. But first, I want to tell you about this 24-hour streaming channel you have access to. Do you have YouTube on your smart TV? There you go. Just search for the Weather NorCal YouTube channel, and you can watch the 24-hour streaming channel there. And what I like about the YouTube app on your TV and really anywhere is you can on demand. Yes, we're all about on demand, aren't we? Netflix, Hulu, right? YouTube. You can watch on demand the latest video forecasts. I update them 3 times a day. Also, if you have Fire Stick, Roku, I have an app for that, and you can watch the 24-hour channel there. You can also watch the 24-hour channel on weathernorcal.com. And from the free Weather NorCal app. Check it out. It's really awesome. You know, remember the Weather Channel when they had that, the local forecast? Well, this is that, but just craziness because it's there 24/7 and all about local forecasts. That's what it's about. All right, enough of that. Let's get you into the heat. Let's start off with the heat that we're dealing with here. And you can see here, extreme heat warning, heat advisories. The timing of these all start and end at different times. It gets confusing. But when you see these maps, when I show you these maps, the main, at least when we're talking about heat, the main story here is, bottom line, it's going to be hot. It's that heads up. When you see this map, same situation. I don't want to overhype anything. I don't want to sit here and say it's going to be super hot. It's going to be terrible. Yes, nobody likes the heat to the extent that we're dealing with here. But the oranges indicate moderate heat wave or heat risk. The reds indicate major heat risk. Now here's the key to defining these risks. The key is proper cooling and or hydration. Now, when you go into moderate, what that means is it affects most people, but not everyone. So healthy people, especially if you have proper cooling, you're good. Major, if you don't have proper cooling or hydration, it can be a dangerous situation. Doesn't matter how healthy you are. So where you see those reds is certainly where we're going to be dealing with that situation here for today, tomorrow. But then by Sunday, we're starting to back off a little bit on some of the red here. So again, it affects most people who don't have proper hydration or ways to stay cool. And then we continue to see more of those oranges come off the map by early next week. So where's that source of heat? It's right over here. You see this spin? Actually, this is all that monsoon moisture, by the way, which we'll get into that here in a second. But that's also got heat associated with it. That's been extending into Northern California. This area of low pressure, see how it's moved on out of here? It's to the north. That was here earlier this week over here. That kept that heat out of the area. But now that that's moved off to the northeast into Canada, that's allowing that heat to move on in. Now, I've also got my eyes on this energy here. It's going to kind of sit there for a while. And in the meantime, the heat sits over us for a while, at least through the weekend. Let's take a look at that here. So, see how that sits there? This has just continued to expand in Northern California, but you can see it's not terribly strong. Yes, it's hot. We're talking temperatures 100 to 105 degrees in the valley, right? But then look what's happening. It's beginning to show signs of getting weaker and retreating because this is going to be riding over that ridge and it's going to help to really suppress that heat as we go towards the latter part of next week. And we'll have to watch this because this is another key to our forecast and our long range, because if this stays here and this moves even closer, it'll keep that heat from rebuilding back into Northern California. And as it stands right now, that looks like that could be our saving grace to keeping things below normal with your highs. And you can see here, looking through the weekend into early next week, yes, we start to tick down early next week, but still over 100 degrees for Redding at least through Tuesday. But then we're back down to around or just below normal by the middle and latter part of next week. And that could extend into that next weekend. Against that cooler air that we're going to have to watch here, could that be the saving grace to prevent us from seeing another heat wave anytime soon? And that's what it's looking like for now. This is very dry air that's been over us, but look what's happening. You see how it's nudging northward? It's that's the key here. Number two, you see all of this? That's the afternoon thunderstorms that we see with the monsoon moisture. That's very standard and that's typical for the desert Southwest. But sometimes the flow around that area of high pressure can bring in that monsoon moisture. It's now over central and southern California, and that is going to be the source of moisture. So again, that is all working its way northward. Now, we're mainly just going to be in the greens and yellows, so we're in that dry to moist. So we're starting to see just enough moisture for the atmosphere to work with and bring thunderstorms to the mountains come as early as Saturday, Sunday, and even into early next week. Now, what I'm beginning to see now, and this is the first I've seen this today, is, yeah, we still have a lot of the greens and yellows in there, but we're beginning to see more blues begin to work their way in. So as it looks like now, as we get towards the latter part of next week, we're going to start reducing that amount of monsoon moisture, and chances for thunderstorms will start to diminish as a result. But pretty much keeping that chance for thunderstorms in the mountains most likely through a good portion, if not all of next week. So there you can see for tomorrow. Not today. We're not going to see any thunderstorms today, but we do have that best chance here. And I think that's a pretty good representation. I think a lot of it will be over in Nevada, but some of that may creep its way westward into Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas counties. See how to the west of that, Bernie, you're dry. Even Siskiyou County, I don't expect any thunderstorms for you tomorrow. But that changes by Sunday. That now makes its way into Siskiyou County, and then the same areas again for Sunday east of the valley. But see, Bernie, still not quite in that just yet, and even Trinity County, not quite in that just yet. But then by Monday, Tuesday, we start to see those chances increase. Let's take a look at Futurecast here, and you can see the fog along the coast. We're going to see that burn off a little bit. I think Crescent City, Trinidad, Klamath, all seeing some sunshine, but around Eureka, we'll call it at least partly to mostly cloudy skies. We're beginning to see signs of that monsoon moisture with some high, maybe some mid-level clouds entering the picture here. You saw some of those raindrops there. That'll probably evaporate before reaching the ground. It's still too dry for us to really see any rainfall at this point. Then we go into your Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's really picking up on most of it, staying to the east, but I do think that we could see some of that working its way into Modoc, Lassen, and Plumas counties. And this, yeah, maybe a stray sprinkle, but I think the bulk of any thunderstorm activity for you in Siskiyou County will be Sunday afternoon. Now, this model only goes out to about midday on Sunday, but you can see we're beginning to see, especially off to the east, a lot of that activity here. But I do expect afternoon thunderstorms to develop for Siskiyou, Modoc, Lassen, and even into Plumas counties. Now, could we see some of those work their way into Trinity County? Listen, that's not out of the question. But I think your better chances at this point now look to be for Trinity County as we go into early next week. And then longer range, just really want to illustrate here, just as we kind of go through each afternoon. As long as that monsoon moisture is in place, we will continue to see chances for afternoon thunderstorms, mainly in the mountains. This is taking you through Wednesday. I think Thursday, one last chance, and then we get towards Friday into that next weekend, those chances will start to diminish. So yeah, that's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on here as far as dry lightning strikes are concerned. Here's a look at your lake levels. We're still looking pretty good here. Still over that 100% of our historical average, but we're down to about 65% capacity for Shasta Lake, but still very healthy lake levels, especially when you compare it to where we've been in the past. There you can see your wave heights are certainly pretty low along the coast, so no more small cracked advisories for you along the coast here. And then you can see, looks like those wave heights are actually retreating a little bit here as we take you into your Saturday as well. So your marine forecast, northwest winds at 5 to 10 knots, waves from the northwest at 5 feet at about 7 seconds. And there you can see, of course, no small cracked advisories. Your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health, starting off with Trinity County. Yeah, another hot day out there. There's that chance for thunderstorms as early as Monday, but best chances I think will be Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll start to back off on those chances by the end of next week. Now, as I mentioned, on Sunday, Could we see some of those making their way into the north end, places like Trinity Center, maybe Weaverville? Sure, maybe on Sunday. But as I mentioned, I think your better chances will be earlier next week. And your Dignity Health North Coast neighborhood forecast. Now, I don't expect much in the way of rain, any organized rain, but there may be some drizzle and some mist out there, especially some of those early morning and late night hours. There you can see for the inland areas, I'm going to hold off until about Wednesday before you start seeing a chance for some of those thunderstorms. And I think most of those would be in northern Humboldt and southeastern Del Norte County. Your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, temperatures over 100 degrees here as early as Sunday. You're seeing thunderstorms, and then off and on chances continue through a good portion of next week. Through the weekend, though, for Modoc County, you've got chance for thunderstorms, better chances coming in Sunday and Monday. And then we continue that chance going through next week, unfortunately. Eastern Mountains, same story. I would say mainly Lassen, Plumas counties, you are seeing the best chances there throughout the weekend. Places like Bernie, Viola, Shingletown, you may have to hold off until around Monday, maybe as early as Sunday. Here's your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast. Temperatures 100 degrees or higher in most cases. The good news is there's those temperatures ticking downward through next week. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Chico, temperatures about 100 degrees here for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, back down in the low to mid 90s by next Wednesday and Thursday. Your Valley neighborhood forecast to the north with about 105 for Redding and Anderson, 104 in Cottonwood, 105 in the city of Shasta Lake, and even pretty hot towards Lakehead and Whiskeytown, still topping out at about 100 degrees. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, there is that heat through the weekend, but we do start to see our temperatures drop. It's still very hot for Monday, Tuesday, mid to upper 90s by Wednesday and Thursday. That is your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for your latest forecast. Until then, have a great morning.